Hey folks, welcome to another Movie News Monday, where every single Monday live on Twitch, we go over the latest in DC news, Marvel news, Star Wars news, and everything and anything related to entertainment media. My name is Jupy Gorg. I am live, like I said, on Twitch right now, or if you're watching this on YouTube, hey, hit that subscribe button, give me a like, and stick around to see what's going on in the world. And first things first, insider Daniel RPK reports that Obi Wan Kenobi Season 2 is reportedly in the works. This feels too convenient to be true, and I say this for a multitude of reasons. One, I would love for there to be an Obi Wan Kenobi Season 2. If you can't tell from the Star Wars background or the Star Wars themed hat, I am a fan of Star Wars, so I would be more than happy to see more in this world, especially more with some of the characters that I love. Obi Wan Kenobi, if Darth Vader makes another appearance, all of that stuff would be great. But I don't think that we can say that without knowing the quality of work that came out with the first Obi Wan Kenobi season or miniseries, whatever we're calling it. I think a lot of us were left disappointed and maybe thought it would have worked more effectively as a movie. And I don't think that Lucasfilm is denying that necessarily. So if a season 2 is actually in the works, I think expectations, the bar would be very high, essentially. The expectations would be low, but the bar they would have to clear would be very high. All that being said, this comes from a scooper who is a reliable scooper. Daniel RPK does tend to get more things right than they don't, and they have been pretty quick to be honest with themselves whenever things aren't accurate. But this kind of came out during a slow news week where not a lot was happening. We were like in the lead up to Superman. F1 was coming out, but that wasn't really like for, you know, the big fandom type conversation and engagement. And it wasn't lost on me that so many different blue check mark accounts were jumping on this immediately. So is there actually an Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2 in the works? My guess is probably not. I'm going to remain skeptical until I see any sort of a official announcement. That being said, if we do get an Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2, I think it needs to be a much more centralized story, focusing on Obi-Wan, his transition from Obi-Wan to Ben. I think that it would be very interesting to see Qui-Gon Jinn's Force Ghost. I think it would be very interesting to see some kind of like real world repercussions for some of the stuff from the Clone Wars. If we wanted to bring in Rex or wanted to bring in any of the more prominent clones that we know survived. But I don't need, oh, Leia's in it, oh, Luke's in it, oh, Darth Vader's in it. As much as I love that we got that battle between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, honestly, like the best part of that whole show, it's just, we got that, and if we shove too much in there and make it canon, I feel like we're going to be feeding into some of the wrong conversations that are happening around Star Wars. So, Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2? Probably not, but if they do, I will be watching. I will be watching. Moving on to our next story here. Denis Villeneuve is set to direct the next James Bond movie at Amazon. Denis was on the short list that we talked about last Movie News Monday. It was, Jonathan Nolan was my pick. They ended up going with Denis Villeneuve. I think this is an incredible pick. I think Denis has an incredible artistic voice. I think my concern initially, and even my concern going into this now, is what sort of scale and what kind of world are they going to let him play with this version of James Bond. He talks about being inspired by Dr. No and Sean Connery. I don't know what that means as far as what version of James Bond we're going to get. I do think that we are at a time that we're maybe ready to move past the like overtly serious, super intense Daniel Craig style Bond. And with Denis at the helm, I don't really know where that sends us. I think if he brings along some of the crew that he tends to work with, this will undeniably be a beautiful film. Amazon will likely make this a theatrical staple on top of the fact that it'll pad out their streaming service, and we will probably be getting spin-offs, so expect a lot of characters that are strong enough to lead franchises on their own. But I'm cautiously optimistic. He is set to be working on Dune Messiah right now, and I believe he has said that that will be his cap off of his Dune trilogy. So this might be the next best thing for him. Our boy Denis, our favorite Frenchman, is going to be busy for a little bit, so all power to him. I'm very curious to see where this goes. We know that Denis Villeneuve is directing James Bond, but who is going to be our next James Bond? I have no idea. I have seen some reports saying that Tom Holland is being considered, that a bunch of other names are being thrown around. I don't think that they're at the casting stage yet. They just got a director. I don't even know if there's a script put together yet. I'm sure conversations are happening. I do not believe we're at that point yet. Who would be a cool James Bond? I don't know, maybe like a Daniel Kaluuya would be really cool. Who else is British? I know people keep throwing around, what's his name? Craven. Craven the Hunter, Quicksilver. Aaron Taylor-Johnson has been a fun fan cast for a while. Henry Cavill, of course. But who should James Bond be? I think someone with a small enough level of success that the film will... the name kind of does the heavy lifting, not the actors. Similar to we have David Cornsworth leading Superman. You know, it's not David that's getting butts and seats, it's Superman. But David's doing his best work. So I'd love to see something like that with Bond as well. So we'll keep our eye out on who Bond is going to be. As much as I love him and as much as I love Spider-Man, it should not be Tom Holland. Give that poor kid a break. Just let him run his beer business. Now, this was a shock. The Social Network Part 2 is in the works. Years ago, when Mark Zuckerberg was in Congress and testifying and all this other stuff happened, Aaron Sorkin had joked around about the fact that it was time for a Part 2 of The Social Network. And boy, if we've had even more crazy updates in the past, year and a half. I mean, when that happened was years ago, but specifically in the last year and a half, what Mark Zuckerberg has become and what Meta has become and their closeness to power has been insane. So the fact that there's a Social Network Part 2 in the works, incredible. Aaron Sorkin has graduated from just being a writer to also directing. His directorial debut, Molly's Game, I thought was actually a pretty solid film. It felt like, and I'd say this with all due respect, it felt like Fincher Jr. It felt like Aaron Sorkin was trying to take a lot of the lessons and a lot of the execution that more seasoned directors applied to his writing. So could he do a good job directing this film? I think so. Will it be to the same caliber of the first Social Network? I'm not sure. But I will remain cautiously optimistic. Jesse Eisenberg is not officially confirmed to return, but he has been interviewed about this in the past, and he has said that he is very interested, so I would not be surprised to see him join onto this project. I don't believe we will get Andrew Garfield back. His character is far outside of the picture. Is this going to be a puff piece? I don't believe so. Aaron Sorkin is an incredibly left-leaning, cynical person. And the reason that they had talked about doing a Social Network Part 2 is because of how farther down the realm of insanity Mark Zuckerberg has gone. If you watch the first film, which I think it's an incredible piece of cinema, it is about how this socially awkward little dude goes on to become just like a shell and a monster, and we have seen that play out in real life to a far greater extent. So we will see. My question is how much they're going to fit into a Social Network Part 2, because so much happens between where that movie leaves off and where we are today. And like how far it will go. Like, will it end at the election? Will it go to, there's conversations happening right now that there might be an American version of TikTok in the work with private investors, and some people are, guessing that Mark Zuckerberg is one of those people. So like, things are moving so fast. How quickly are you going to make this? How quickly are you going to have this script ready? M2. So who knows? We will see. I will be very curious to see how this turns out, and I'm going to have to do a Social Network rewatch. I'll put that back on the list. Our next story is... I did not see this coming. Vin Diesel at like a car race event announced that they're going to be making Fast X Part 2. And more importantly, that they're going to be doing it and bringing back Brian's character. Fast X Part 2 or Fast 11 or whatever they're going to call it is going to be the conclusion of the Fast and Furious franchise. Look, if there is an Icarus allegory in the realm of franchise blockbusters, it is Fast and the Furious. They drifted far too close to the sun, and I think they lost a lot of the goodwill they had with audiences. It went from being a fun, crazy skeptical to just absolute, like, crazy and unintelligible corporate slop. And I mean that in every case too. Like, it got to the point that the actors were being absolutely ridiculous with their corporate requests. Like, Vin Diesel had a term in his contract that meant that he couldn't lose a fight, and so he never loses a fight. The environment around him causes fights to end. Like, that's the only way they can create narrative tension. Obviously there was that massive feud between him and The Rock, who also does not lose any fights in the movies because people get crazy. And then Michelle Rodriguez came in and out of the franchise because she's like, what the hell, you're not paying me nearly as much as you're paying everyone else. And then of course we have Paul Walker's really surprising and untimely demise. He did pass away while they were filming one of the movies, and it led to an extremely emotional farewell to his character and to him as an actor. And look, I remember being a college freshman watching that movie, crying in the movie theater. I went to go see that movie with my boys. I was with three other guys, and we're just sitting there at the end of that movie, and we hear the "It's been a long day," and we start sitting there. Man, this is a Fast and Furious movie. Why are we crying? Because we knew, right? Like, we knew the real world implications and how it was a love letter to somebody who, was gone too soon. But now, at this Fuel Fest event, Vin Diesel shows up and he goes, I need the next movie to go back to the streets, and we will be bringing Brian back. And they did it with Paul Walker's brother present. He was there, and Paul Walker's brother, of course, helped finish the film with, he helped be a stand-in for Paul Walker. So it seems the family's on board, which is nice, but it also, like, the implications of we're probably going to be using some deep fake technology or some weird, AI, CGI to bring him back to life, or are they going to just flat out recast him with one of his brothers? I don't know, but I also think that people have just kind of lost interest in the Fast and the Furious franchise. I mean, I would love to see, I wonder if someone has made a chart of the Fast and Furious box office. Yeah. Okay, so you can kind of see exactly how this kind of went downhill. So Furious 7, I believe, is the last one that Paul Walker was in, which did great globally. Then the follow-up, Fate of the Furious, also did great, but it wasn't quite as good. And then the next thing you had was Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, which felt like an unreal thing. And then I think people really started to lose their love for it. F9 did significantly less than Fate of the Furious, and F10 just did not perform very well at all. I mean, 146 million and at the US box office is really, really, really rough. Really, really rough. I mean, that was the numbers that it didn't even match what the original Fast and the Furious movie was doing. So, Fast and the Furious franchise did not leave at the best place. But you know what franchise could be the next big thing? Hot Wheels, baby! Hot Wheels, baby! This feels like a prank. Warner Brothers is developing a Hot Wheels movie with John M. Chu to direct, which... What? I feel like John Chu is busy enough. Didn't they just announce that he was working on another project? I don't know what this means. I don't know if this is going to be a movie about the toys, if this is going to be a movie about cars, about ridiculous races. Is there going to be orange tracks? Probably, and I hope so. But yeah, I guess John M. Chu gets through Wicked and he goes, too much musical theater, I need cars. Look, I don't know if kids are still into Hot Wheels. I remember Hot Wheels having a lot of commercials when I was a kid. I had Hot Wheels because I was a little boy. I only ever see Hot Wheels at the grocery store, but then again, I'm not like seeking them out. I don't know. I used to get the TikToks of the guy who would get like Hot Wheels and send them down these intricate tracks and like see how far they would go. I remember sitting there in COVID being like, wow, that one went really far. That's crazy. It's crazy that one with the that's not gonna make the turn. Oh, it made the bend. We will see. I don't know what the hell it'll be. It feels unnecessary. Why live action? What does that mean? It's all gonna be CGI cars anyway. Because it's Hot Wheels. Like, I need like a Speed Racer level Hot Wheels. That's the only way I'll excuse it. In some positive news, we talked about this last Movie News Monday. The director of Transformers 1, an incredible animated movie that if you haven't seen, is honestly a really, really good animated movie and totally worth the watch. Josh Cooley confirmed that there is no plans for a Transformers 1 follow-up movie. However, there was a recent announcement that there is a slew of new Transformers movies coming and that Josh Cooley is going to be developing a live-action Transformers movie. Look, the Transformers franchise has gone through so many ups and downs. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes with these movies. There was like a brain trust, like a story circle that was put together. I remember Robert Kirkman was in it. Like, so many different people have tried to make Transformers like a Marvel level property. And I feel like this animated route might have been the right direction for them. But I also feel like audiences are just so confused. They're like, what? So, like, do the Shia LaBeouf ones count? Or, like, what was that with Mark Wahlberg? And There was the Bumblebee movie with Haley Steinfeld, which is also great if you haven't seen it. So it's just confusing. It's just confusing. I think it's hard for general audiences to keep track, and I'm not even like a Transformers diehard. I know there's some folks out there who like really love this franchise. I'm a casual enjoyer. Again, it's similar to Hot Wheels. I had the toys as a kid. But there's some really fun stories to be told, and there's like decades of lore and, stories that exist with these characters that could be explored in fun ways or even just new ways. At the end of the day, Transformers is a franchise that's selling toys. So they're going to keep making movies, and that's fine. But let's just let's not expect anything more than just they're trying to make toys. All right, same page. Same page. Completely pivoting. This is just like, talking about Hot Wheels and Transformers and everything that's wrong with just developing content around IP. I'm not even talking about developing art or unique stories. Content is what I'm talking about here. There's a spin-off series in the works for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest spin-off about Chief Bromden. What are we doing? What happened? Didn't we already make a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest spin-off that like just completely underperformed and had no impact in the cultural conversation? Am I making this up? I feel like this happened. Ratchet. Nurse Ratchet. That was her name. Yeah, Ratchet. There was a Ratchet show with Sarah Paulson. It had one season. It was a prequel series. It came out during COVID. But we were all home. A Netflix series that came out during COVID about Nurse Ratchet, a prequel series. And now we're doing a sequel series about Chief Bromden. What? We're just fully missing the point. Look, if you wanted to make a show with a Native American lead about somebody who had extreme trauma and escaped a mental asylum and their wacky misadventures that come from it, do it. But you don't have to tie it to Cuckoo's Nest. That's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know what we're doing. If this goes to film, imagine this will have the same fate as Ratchet. Because it's not something people are asking for. It's just tying to an IP for the sake of tying to an IP. And it's not actually rooted in anything that people want to watch. Alright, let's get into some nerdy news. So we have some updates about Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, all of these are like to be taken with a pretty large grain of salt. But somebody noticed, Brett Pollack, who is the cinematographer, director of photography for Spider-Man Brand New Day, somebody found his, what is this? Pinterest? This Pinterest account. And noticed some very unique things being pinned, particularly surrounding Spider-Man and, in particular, Spider-Man with the Hulk. So we have heard some rumors that the Hulk will be kind of our contractually mandated Avengers level character that appears in a Sony Marvel Spider-Man movie, which would be fine. And in fact, I welcome the idea. I think that there's some really fun interactions that Spider-Man and Hulk tend to have. And in the Brand New Day comic book arc post One More Day story arc, Hulk famously, the Hulk, remembers Spider-Man, not Bruce Banner, but the Hulk, because he's not susceptible to the magic mind wipe. So maybe maybe we're actually getting some soft confirmation here that Spider-Man Brand New Day will feature the Hulk. We did also, and again, huge grain of salt here, we did get an IMDb summary. Now, you don't have to be the studio in order to update IMDb, but let's just pretend for a second that this is official. After the world has forgotten his name, Peter Parker begins a new chapter in his life, balancing college classes, part-time work, and his responsibility as New York's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But when a mysterious force begins to unravel the city from the inside out, Peter finds himself caught between powerful enemies, old legacies, and unexpected allies. As shadows from the past creep into his present, he must redefine what it truly means to be a hero on his own. Now, anybody with an IMDb Pro account who has been keeping up with some of the leaks and is able to make the connections and is well versed in Spider-Man knowledge could have written this. That being said, if this is the direction for the next Spider-Man movie, sign me up. That sounds pretty good. This feels like it's setting up Martin Lee and his gang, possibly anti-Venom stuff, possibly referring to the Hulk, possibly referring to the Punisher. It's so perfectly vague, yeah. So this is, like I said, this has the potential to be legit because it's vague enough that it could be. But this also feels like somebody has been keeping up with all the online conversations and just sprinkling in some breadcrumbs in there. So, likelihood that this is real, I'm gonna say probably not legit, but pretty good. I'll give him some credit. On the other side of things, jumping from Marvel to DC, we finally have a script for the Batman Part 2. And if you zoom in close, you can see it does say the Batman Part 2. It's a little blurry. Matt Reeves has turned in his first draft of the Batman Part 2. So we have a script. For so long, we have been hearing James Gunn saying, I don't have a script yet. We're not greenlighting anything until there's a script. There now is a script. I still think we're years out from a Batman movie. I still have no idea. Do we have a Robin? Do we not have a Robin? Is it in the DCU? Is it not in the DCU? I don't care. All I know is that Matt Reeves, the incredibly talented filmmaker who did some of my favorite interpretations of the Planet of the Apes, who killed it with the Batman, who helped run the Penguin, which was an incredibly refreshing show, is coming back to do another take on The Dark Knight, on Batman. And I'm excited. 2027 at the earliest? Yeah, probably. It'll probably be. And that's assuming they can start shooting right now, because Robert Pattinson is in Dune Messiah, I believe. And so he's busy for the next few months. And then who else is supposed to be in this? I don't know. But I hope they got their contracts up. I will be very excited when this movie is actually happening. There's a script, so we are one step closer to this movie happening. And last but not least, Superman is coming out. I am going to see it this week. I have tickets to see it twice this week, and I'm very, very excited. You can expect a review coming soon. James Gunn has been doing a lot of press, and let me just say, the amount of press that Superman is doing, I have to give them all the props. I cannot look anywhere and not see Superman. Warner Brothers is going all freaking in on this movie. I went to Dairy Queen. I road trip 4th of July, stopped at Dairy Queen for a blizzard. There's a Superman blizzard. I opened my TV, the cast of Superman doing BuzzFeed quizzes, David Cornsworth, GQ, What I Do in a Day, billboards, bus ads, Instagram, TikTok. They've been killing it on social. They got Reese, guy with a movie camera, to do a lot of their social stuff, killing it. That Jimmy Olsen video, incredible. So all of that to say, so much press, so much marketing, it's everywhere. You're 100% correct. James Gunn, in an interview with The Times, was talking about the 3 moments that don't need to be seen again. The 3 moments that don't need to be seen again in comic book movies. I don't need to see the pearls in a back alley when Batman's parents are killed. I don't need to see the radioactive spider biting Spider-Man. I don't need to see baby Cal coming from Krypton in the little baby rocket. And I 100% agree. There's just so many things in the cultural zeitgeist that just do not need to be rehashed, because we know. I loved the way in the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy, but specifically in Spider-Man Homecoming, where like they just like kind of like brush off the whole origin story. He's like, wait, so you got big where's the spider? He's like, I don't know, man. And like, that's it. That's as far as we need to go. We have seen so many different interpretations of Batman's parents being killed. I think every single of the Joe Schumacher movies had a flashback to the parents being killed. Batman Begins had it. Batman v Superman had it. The Gotham show had it. So many. It's so much. Didn't the Joker also have it? Or maybe it was implied? In either case, I was fully agree. And then baby Cal coming. Yeah, we know he's an alien. We get it. We don't need to see it. Such a good take. But folks, that is essentially it. So for the movie news portion of the broadcast, that's going to conclude it for Movie News Monday. We're going to be jumping into watching some trailers here and then going over some more fun stuff. We're going to be looking at the 100 best movies of the 21st century from New York Times. But Movie News Monday happens live on Twitch every single Monday at 8:30. You can always catch us on YouTube, so make sure to like and subscribe so the algorithm brings you back. If you want to know when I'm going live, be sure to check in on Instagram or TikTok or all of the other places. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you have a fantastic week. Stick around for some more good content over here. But until then, go watch some movies. I'll see y'all next time. Take it easy. Goodbye. Goodbye.